Yeah, let's see your pedicure. Oh, yeah.
That's fixed.
No, it's not fixed yet. It takes a couple of treatments.
It's a big tit. What?
Subscribe.
Lips fungal.
Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah.
Big tip? What?
It's a damn shame.
Been through.
We've been through a wall filled with potatoes. Greg.
Okay, are we on Spaces too?
Yes, we are. Welcome, everybody.
Oh, nice.
It's another episode of the Meme Factory Podcast. You made it. We made it. This is Stream Test 93. As any of you know who watch with any kind of frequency, there'll only ever be Stream Test. That way they can't shut us down. Marty, you should take a hint from that.
Mm-hmm.
This evening, we are joined by none other than Marty Bent. Marty, say hi and give the elevator pitch to anybody who doesn't know you about who you are.
Hi, I'm Marty. I run a media company, TFTC. It's got a few podcasts and newsletter. And do that, and I'm a venture partner at 1031. We invest in Bitcoin-only companies. And I do some mining stuff as well on the side.
Binding stuff? You like binding?
Mining.
Oh.
No, I don't. Not a big fan of binders anymore. I'll give me bad flashbacks.
Well, I know you're new to the pod here. I appreciate you coming on this evening. One of the things we need to get out of the way before we go any further, though, is that one of the companies that does our sponsorship requires the guest to do the ad reads so that we can get paid. So if you could pull up your ad from Suscorp this week and just rip through it, and we'll get on with this pod here.
All right, here we go. This is very big product. Very excited for this. Happy that you guys at Meme Factory are pumping this. I think it's very important for the market. So, hey folks, Marty Bent here. Ever find that blue verification check on X a bit ostentatious? Want the perks, but not the glaring sign that screams, hey, I paid for this. Let me interest you to Suscorp's latest brainchild, Suscock. Your secret weapon to boost your online influence without the world knowing you've got a bit of help. With Suscock, you get all the benefits of X verification, improved search presence, better engagement, and priority support. The kicker? We keep the pesky blue check buried deeper than Epstein's client list, so you can grow your reach and credibility all while flying under the radar like all those folks on the Lolita Express. It's about strategy, folks. In an age where authenticity matters, Suscock lets you bolster your presence subtly without the brag. A silent nod to those who want to stand out but not stick out. Elevate with Suscock. Dive deep into those murky waters, tackle those elite circles head on, and fund their antics for a mere $8 a month while leaving the world blissfully ignorant. Want to master X with unmatched subterfuge? Slide into Suscorp's DMs today. Very important product.
Yay.
Very nicely done, sir.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to direct your attention over to the Swiss flag over here in the middle right.
Our audio is bad right now, Greg.
Whose audio is bad right now?
Whose audio is bad?
They said Marty sounds robot-y and Greg sounds like a quiet mouse.
Mm.
Not like a normal potato.
Not like a normal potato. Well, either way, we still got to go to bed.
Yeah, maybe you're a Swiss potato today, Greg.
It's possible.
Just like quietly neutral.
You're quietly neutral.
Quietly. Okay, Marty, thanks for coming on. I have a sandwich menu for you. I have a couple of options. I have 3 specials. So the first one is the green screen. So it's a veggie special. It's mixed Swiss chard and Swiss cheese, marinated in extra salty influencer tears. And it's served with a side of rösti, which is a Swiss potato dish. And I store my potatoes in my root cellar, which is made out of cinder blocks, so to keep them fresh. The next one I have is the X Blocker sandwich. It's a KYC, Know Your Cuts deli sandwich. And it comes with some deep fries fried in duck fat. But there's a warning with this sandwich. Every time you take a bite, a central bank gets blocked from Bitcoin. So, and our last special, our house special, is Yellow's Don't Stop Believing Steak Sammy. It's been marinated in Red Bull for 647 days.
I think anytime you get an opportunity to block a central banker from Bitcoin, you got to take it. So I'm going to go with an X blocker.
Fucking love it.
The rising duck fat sounds good too. And I took my
I know.
headphones out, so hopefully that helps with the audio.
Yeah. If you guys can keep an eye on the chat and let us know how it's coming through, that'd be fantastic. Thank you. All right. So Marty, on a recent episode of your pod, you used a word with a very hard R. Revolution.
Revolution. There we go.
Now,
We've heard it.
we've heard it. We've heard you say it. Now, what are you talking about? Why is the word revolution touching your lips? And haven't we already had a few of those here? What's the deal?
Well, it's I don't know. It's a word. I do think we're like with Bitcoin. If it's to be successful, there's literally going to need to be some sort of revolution. I like to think it will be a peaceful one, but there's going to have to be a revolution of the mind in aggregate across the world to ensure that we get away from central bank digital currency slavery. But yeah, no, I said it on Peter McCormick's podcast a few weeks ago. And it is weird, like when you meet Bitcoiners in person and you talk about what's going on here, the word revolution comes up quite often, but then publicly speaking, people really don't like when you say it because it has those negative connotations of direct kinetic conflict, if we use the vernacular of our good friend Jason Lowry. But yeah, I think it's a word we should use more of because I do think people do recognize there's something terribly wrong in the world and they're really stuck in this worldview and this framework where they think they're going to fix it through the incumbent system, whether that's the monetary system or the political system. I just don't think that's going to be the case. I do think we literally need a revolution here to take the power from these people. And with that being said, I don't think it needs to be a kinetic, physical revolution. I think that's part of the beauty of Bitcoin is that it can be a peaceful, non-physical revolution.
Let's back that up. Why do you think power needs to be taken from those who currently have it?
Yeah, let's back that up.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Before Yellow, I'm glad you reminded me because I got a bone to pick with you. You, sir,
What?
on your spaces today, guaranteed that every question that was asked of Marty on our Twitter post, is going to be asked by you.
Okay. Do we have questions?
There's like a million of them, but I was wondering how you're
Oh.
going to get through that. Did you?
Oh, really? I thought nobody listened to me.
Just your prophecies, Yellow.
Okay, maybe I'll throw them around.
We'll get to that in a second.
Let's back it up.
Well, before we do that too, the other bone I got to pick with you is that you guaranteed a halving on the halving party date.
Yeah, it's my prophecy. What's the problem?
Prophecy number 3? Is this prophecy? Is this official?
3.
This is official prophecy number 3. The halving will happen on the dates of the halving party.
Oh.
And I'm finding all the old USB miners I have between the couch cushions. I'm plugging them on. Gonna happen.
That's a lot of hash power. Your USB miners. From
Yeah, I have 3.
2015.
Prophecies come in threes, I hear. So this is good. This is a good sign. I'm bullish on the halving happening during the halving party.
Cool.
All right,
Marty gets
sorry,
it.
I interrupted you. You were telling me about power abuse in our great nation, in our world. Why do the folks that currently have power need to have it withdrawn from them?
It's funny you asked that because I actually wrote a newsletter about it last night and basically built on Frederick Bastiat's quote, like, when those at the top plunder, will eventually codify it into law and protect plunder. And like building on that, when the people at the highest levels of society can just loot and plunder the world without any repercussions, it's going to seep down to the lower levels of society as they see the people in power looting with impunity. And they're going to say, all right, if they're doing it, we're doing it. And at that point, I think you have societal decay. And here in the United States, particularly in the big cities, it's very obvious. You look at San Francisco, New York, Austin, even to a certain extent, Chicago, like they're devolving into lawless areas because the people at the bottom are fed up with watching the people at the top sort of loot and abuse their power to take money and rights away from individuals, and they're fighting back. And so I do think it's an imperative to take power away from them, because their abuse of that power really emboldens people at the lower levels of a society to sort of throw laws and order out the window. And so, like, if they're not respecting the responsibility that comes with the power they have and they're abusing it, like, eventually you're just going to have a society that devolves. And so I do think the levers to power that they have not necessarily need to be taken from them, because I don't think we will take them from them again. I don't think we're going to fix this via the political system. We need to create new levers of power that people really can't control. And that's why I'm very focused on Bitcoin, particularly, because I do think a lot of the levers of power that are pulled have to deal with monetary policy at the end of the day. All these problems, so there's economic distress, capital misallocation in the energy sector, universities, the healthcare sector. It's all driven by the ability by those in power to abuse that power, to pull the levers of the monetary system to abuse that power.
So you're saying we got all these people in power pulling their own lever all over the country, and that is creating the societal decay. So it's weird how that there's a dichotomy there, right? So, like, you can create society decay from the top down, but in order to reestablish something new and better, it has to go bottom up.
It's got to be emergent, right? Market driven. And it's not only here in the United States. I mean, it's everywhere. Where it's the European Union. I mean, Christine Lagarde, the chairwoman of the European Central Bank, she's a convicted criminal. She worked at the IMF. She worked for the French government. And did pretty terrible things, and is vaunted as some incredible person. It's just, when those people are your heroes or the people that others look up to, it's just not really good for society. I don't know.
Why do you think? Because in Bitcoin, right, a lot of us talk about, like, you can't vote harder to fix your problems, right? I would like to hear your reasoning behind it, because it seems kind of like that's what you're saying, right? Why is that? Like, what do we believe behind that? What do you believe behind that? Like, why can't we fix the issues from the system that we're currently in?
Because it's completely manipulated. It's might trigger a lot of people. It's become abundantly clear that all these elections were rigged to a certain extent. I mean, we don't have to talk about 2020, what went on there. I'm pretty confident that there was some fuckery around the election in 2020, but we have hard evidence via WikiLeaks Hillary Clinton dumps. Like, the DNC completely rigged the primary election in Hillary's favor in 2016. Like, we had it, like, dead to rights. We can use cryptography to prove that the emails are real. And so, yeah, I think a lot of people waste a lot of time putting their effort and arguing over whether or not we can fix the system via voting or voting harder. It's just become abundantly clear to me. Maybe I'm too jaded. Maybe I don't have enough faith in the institution of the Republic of the United States, but it's become abundantly clear to me that it's all rigged. There's plenty of evidence.
I'm not familiar with the current WikiLeaks dump. What are you referencing? I know it's a 2016 election, and I remember thinking Bernie Sanders had the nod on the Democratic side at that point in time, but that's as far as my memory goes.
Yeah, emails between Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Hillary Clinton, and another woman who was part of the DNC. They basically, like, I forget the exact wording of the emails, but you go find them. Like, they still exist. They're still out there. Like, they essentially rigged the DNC primaries and the debates leading up to the Democratic primary vote to make sure that Hillary won and got up against Trump.
Interesting.
Completely boxed Bernie out. Not that I would have voted for Bernie, but there was a large portion of the country that really wanted him, particularly on the Democratic side. And even if I'm not a big fan of him. I do think the will of the people was to ensure that he should have been the representative for the Democrats in that election. He should have been there, and they completely manipulated the system to make sure that didn't happen.
Do you think that we're going to conspiracy realms now? But like, do you think that
That's not a conspiracy.
No. I'm gonna say. Do you think that this manipulation, this kind of corruption, decay, call it what you want, is somehow at some aspects planned or orchestrated? Well, I'm going to the Great Reset kind of thesis. And what can we do to hijack it?
Yeah, I mean, I do. Yeah, the evidence is there. These people are telling you in the open, like, you will nothing, you would be happy. Klaus Schwab is bragging about getting Canadian politicians put in places of power to push forward his agenda. I think it would be naive to think that's not happening here in other places as well. So yeah, I do think there is an agenda. I mean, they name their events Agenda 2030, Agenda 2020. They're very blatant with it. It's part of the humiliation rituals, telling you what they're going to do. They're doing it anyway. And making you believe it's a good thing. If you don't, if you want people who's like receptive to those messages.
What do you mean humiliation?
Humiliation. Go vote or die. We rigged it already. It's like vote or die. You have your agency. You got your vote, but on the back end, they're rigging everything. Like, that's a humiliation ritual. Makes you think. Yeah.
Isn't it our right to vote?
It certainly is, but you can vote in many different ways and go into the ballot box. That's why we focus on Bitcoin. Right?
Yeah, I mean, we were even talking about society, and it does seem like, you know, we're all memers, right? And memes, we've talked about how memes is just a mirror of what's going on, right? And it seems like society is a mirror of the money. Like whatever money is being used, like that's kind of the mirrors, right? And yeah, yellow, dude. What's your question, man? What's up?
No, I'm just repeating whenever you say society.
Oh wait, say it better. Say like you're on the beach in Santorini.
Society.
That's society right there.
No, I completely. I mean, it's the whole meme of strong men create good times create weak men, weak men create hard times. Like, I think a lot of what drives weak men to create hard times is the power to abuse money, particularly, and then it reflects back on society with the hard times where you didn't want to do proof work, you didn't want to actually be productive, you took the easy route out and manipulated the levers of monetary policy to temporarily overstate the wealth and well-being of your particular nation at any point in time. But yeah, to the point of how do we, to Yellow's question earlier, like how do we get back at them? I think working on Bitcoin is important, but to your point, Sean, about like memes being powerful, we have to ridicule these people. Like, that's, comedy is very powerful, and for some reason or another, most people on the planet view the Klaus Schwabs, the Christine Lagardes, even the Joe Bidens, Justin Trudeau's as reputable human beings that we should listen to. But I think one of the most potent tools to push back against that and to begin to erode their powers, simply hold up a mirror to them and make fun of them for how outrageous they are, and ridicule them, and really have others realize that these people are not only psychopathic and insane, but also stupid at the end of the day. You shouldn't follow stupid people. Maybe stupid is the wrong word. Definitely smart at planning things, but I'm trying to think of another word than stupid.
Dubious.
No, I think stupid is the right word.
Malevolent.
How do you feel? How do you come back to those that say you are the brains behind Odell? There's people saying it.
We're a good yin yang.
I don't know. You should hear us off record. It's completely obvious that Matt is very he's an individual with his own thoughts and his own perspective. His own way.
No, I'm not saying it. There are people saying it. I'm just passing the message.
If people want to believe that I'm the brains behind that, I'm not gonna try and argue otherwise. It's a high compliment.
There you go.
Now, you said something earlier today that was a little prescient. Right before you came on the stream, you were saying that you smell a credit crunch coming on Friday. What did you call it? A fall credit something?
A late summer Friday credit crunch.
That's
that was like a shoot from the hip tweet. Like,
it felt right.
I'm sorry, yellow, but the price of Bitcoin fell like 10% earlier today, and
Wow.
that feels like one of those instances where some Bitcoin is extremely liquid. Further out on the risk curve, there's some people out there who are allocated in other areas of the market that may be recognizing some extreme stress and are preparing to deploy dollars to cover some liabilities. Could be wrong, but that's to have like a 10% drop in 5 minutes feels like one of those moves for somebody to get cash quick and decided to dump their Bitcoin.
Could be the start of the next mom and pop banks coming down. You know, mom and pop banks like Silvergate and
Yeah, First Republic. Your local corner bank.
What of the you said memes are some of the best way to get to undermine these people and their perceived authority. What are some of the better memes you've seen that do that to these people?
Right, they evolved over time. It's like go back to like the Trump election, like Pepe memes were very potent, powerful. I think they actually did a lot to help him get elected back then, whether people want to recognize that or not. But obviously, the bell curve meme is probably the most potent out there. It really triggers people. Like the crying spaz meme is another one. I think the bell curve though is the most potent because it really triggers people who find themselves in the middle of that curve. There's a bunch of wet instead of all of that.
Yeah, people get more upset about being in the middle of the curve than they do about being on the left-hand side of the curve.
I take pride in being on the left. I think it's much easier to be on the left-hand side of the curve than middle or right.
So you're telling me that you were the one that came up with the Stay Humble Stack sets?
Yes, it was me.
Yeah, there we go. You heard it.
Nice.
Inventor of Stay Humble Stack sets, Marty O'Neill. So, what are you doing in your life to vote, let's say, with all the options, or all the levers that are available to you?
Buying Bitcoin on Stay Humble Stacking sats. Obviously with 1031, we're investing in companies that we think are going to make Bitcoin more accessible, more useful.
That's the Chinese company, right? Tencent.
Yeah. We're backed by a bunch of CCP members. We're trying to. I kid. But yeah, I mean, we view that. Obviously, we're a venture firm, so we think we're going to make great returns for people, and also we feel incredibly fortunate because
what kind of
we truly believe. Excuse me.
What kind of adventures do you go on?
Like Bitcoin companies that are invested.
Like the Moon Factory.
You gotta use a FU Greg right there, Marty. That's just a fuck.
Are you guys racist? Yeah.
Are you racist?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, like companies that are securing the network, whether it's mining companies, we allocate towards mining, which not many funds do. Custody products like CoinKite, Unchained. Basically, the thesis is that how do we vote, acquire Bitcoin, and then help invest in companies that are going to make it easier for others to acquire Bitcoin and use Bitcoin once they have it. Because as much as I wholeheartedly believe in the Stay Humble Stack Sets mindset, like there is critical infrastructure that needs to be built out to make it more accessible, more usable, and more widely adopted globally. And on top of that, I try to implement it into my businesses outside of 1031. So podcasting 2.0, actually sort of practice what I preach and accept Bitcoin as payment. So we do that via podcasting 2.0. The website's fully integrated with PTC Pay server. And then the mining industry, try to plug in as many 86 as possible, and then convince energy companies and utility companies that Bitcoin's actually good for them, because it's actually one thing I strongly believe is that the energy sector is going to be one of our biggest allies moving forward. So
I would want to talk to you about the energy sector in Texas.
It's fucked.
Well, it's fucked, but is it getting better? And is it getting better because of Bitcoin?
Bitcoin's certainly helping to some extent, but could also be hurting to another extent. I sent a tweet out like a year ago. They're building way too much wind and solar, particularly wind. It's become very clear last week, particularly that like wind is not showing up when you need it most. It's kind of ironic. You'd think that people would logically understand that it gets really hot out in Texas because the wind isn't blowing. And so that's been happening the last couple of weeks. The wind hasn't been blowing, so wind turbines haven't been generating electricity, and Bitcoin miners have had to respond by turning off and sending their electricity back to the grid, which has been a net benefit. Natural gas plants have shown up big as well, but I do worry about a part of the mining industry that's really beating the drum, and I think it's a bad strategy overall, which is that Bitcoin mining is going to incentivize the build out of more wind and solar projects, which could be debated about whether or not those are additive to grids in society overall. I'm not wholly convinced yet, but if Bitcoin miners become like a very pivotal part of a pitch by wind and solar farms to build out more capacity in Texas, I think if reliable baseload like natural gas, coal, and nuclear isn't built out alongside that, like in the long run, that could actually be detrimental to the Texas grid if a lot of these wind projects particularly get built out because the wind builder is saying, hey, we got Bitcoin miners, so we'll be buyers of first resort while we're building up the transmission lines, and they get favor in terms of access to ERCOT because of subsidies that exist. Like I think that could actually end in a bad way down there.
The only ERCOT I know is in Disney.
What's ERCOT stand for? Electricity. I'm not going to try, but ERCOT's essentially the private grid system that sells
the company
electricity out of Texas. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then, I mean, in that vein, I mean, these miners are looking for cheap power. What are the best strategies you've seen for like the pleb home miner to get cheap energy? Somebody's running like an S19 or even a couple of S9s that they're just trying to find the cheapest power available.
USB miners.
USB miners that you found on your couch.
When it comes to home miners, I mean, you're really beholden to
miners.
You're beholden to your electricity costs. Like you can't really do anything about that. What you can do if you're mining at home is focus on being as efficient as possible. So whether that's underclocking your machines or using the waste heat to heat your home or heat a hot tub or a pool to bring down your overall electricity costs by not having to do those things because the ASIC's doing it for you, like at home. That's the best strategy. Obviously, miners on ERCOT, they're getting really low pricing with economies of scale and lower blended pricing by participating in demand response programs. But other than that, one thing we're doing at Standard Bitcoin to get lower pricing is targeting rural areas in Appalachia, declining populations, and they have large substations that are sitting there with excess capacity, and they have excess capacity because large manufacturing facilities have moved out of town. And so that actually creates an opportunity to get lower pricing because you can go to the utility and say, hey, I'll let you get your substation up to full capacity, which will allow you to buy more energy in bulk from the TVA, which is the ERCOT equivalent in that part of the country. And so since they can buy in bulk from ERCOT and fully utilize their substation, they get lower pricing, and that gets passed on to us. So energy utilization, if you're a mid-tier miner, you're not a mega miner, and you're looking to get lower energy costs, I mean, that's a good strategy, is to find these substations in areas with falling populations that, if they were to be fully utilized, they'd be able to buy power in bulk at cheaper prices from the grid companies. That's a good strategy.
Do you think we have any risk right now with these really large mining companies that seem to be mining maybe at a loss right now? Is there like a bubble going on, or do you think that that they know what they're doing, I guess?
I guess it depends on the particular miner. More know what they're doing. Some know what they're doing more than others.
Hash rate futures, right?
Hash rate futures could be a way to mitigate that. Yeah, but it really comes down to like your power purchase agreement. Like, did you actually lock in pricing, or did you get locked into like a variable price that can change if fuel costs change? A lot of people got wiped out last cycle when energy prices rose after the Russia-Ukraine war broke out. Corsair went into bankruptcy, and actually Corsair is like an incredible case study because they went into bankruptcy and they're about to come out the other end of it. I won't say unscathed, but they survived, and I think that's a product of that. Bitcoin mining so hard, and if you're a lender to these companies, like, you really don't know what to do with the ASICs or how to plug them in. And so, like, actually, if you're a miner of scale with a lot of creditors, like, you do have an advantage that they really don't have the ability to mine Bitcoin themselves, and they probably can't find the rack space to plug it in if they were able to get the ASICs. And so, even if you go bankrupt, you can work out some deals, which of course I did, to keep operating, and just figure things out in bankruptcy. I do think there are definitely some mega mines that are exposed right now. I think the name of the game, what people are really coming to understand at that level of mining after last cycle, is capital allocation is really important, meaning like when you actually buy ASICs, and the infrastructure is really important. So there are a lot of miners who bought ASICs at very elevated levels last cycle that are still mining with those. Now they're becoming older gen machines. And we have the halving coming up, obviously. So I do think there are definitely some larger miners who are sweating it out as we near the halving, where they have high electricity costs. They bought ASICs at inflated prices, so that extends their payback period. And they're older gen models, so when the halving comes, and if you're over 5, 6, 7 cents, they're not going to be profitable. I do think that there are a number of miners that are in larger scale that are experiencing those problems. I do think there will be some mergers and acquisitions that happen leading up to the halving, maybe right after the halving as well, as people try to solve those problems they have.
I want to pivot to something that me and another member of the Meme Factory have been arguing about recently. I don't know if you're familiar with Plan Marcus, but he's a huge proponent, and he's not here to defend himself, so I'm going to bastardize his position. He's a huge proponent of BRICS, right? Says BRICS is going to take out U.S. currency. BRICS is even a threat to Bitcoin. BRICS all day long. What are your ideas and thoughts on BRICS and whether or not it's actually a challenge to U.S. dollar hegemony?
I don't know, I go back and forth. I mean, they're certainly posturing like they're going to launch this gold back, oil back, yuan back, whatever the hell it is, BRICS plus currency. I wouldn't be surprised if they try. But I don't think it'll be that successful, whether it's just like on its own, directly competing with the dollar or Bitcoin. Like the whole reason they're going to start this BRICS Plus currency, if they even do, it seems like some of the countries have been walking back from the idea of doing it. But let's play through the scenario in which they do. They're creating this currency because they can't trust the dollar system. And all these countries in BRICS Plus have competing views and competing worldviews and competing interests and goals, and I don't think they're going to be able to coordinate, especially as quickly as they're posturing that they can to actually successfully launch one of these currencies. I wouldn't be surprised if they try. They have some short-term success, but in the long run, like they're going to run into the same problems they ran into with the dollar system and SWIFT. Is that you can't trust. Like, where's the gold going to be held? Where's the oil going to be held? How are they going to settle? Who's going to control? Is there going to be like a Federal Reserve Board of the BRICS Plus currency? How do the board members interact? Like, I just don't see it being very viable from a logistics and coordination perspective.
Yeah. A lot of disparate countries with disparate interests.
Yeah. In different stages of economic growth. Like, you're going to throw together a bunch of emerging economies with more developed economies. And yeah, I find it hard to believe like democratic republics mixed in with communist regimes. Like, I don't know how successful that's going to be if it launches.
And very geographically disintegrated countries.
Yeah. Yeah.
That made me googling stuff. God damn it!
Please don't Google yourself on stream, okay?
So Greg,
I have a question, a small question. You can
Okay.
answer it however you want. You don't need any more info. Is Seth a girl?
Is Surfer Girl?
Is Seth a girl?
Is Safe a girl?
God damn it! Someone
Just say
translate.
yes.
I think he's
He
spelled
doesn't-
Just say
S-A-I-
just say
yes.
Tango
Yeah.
H.
Yes. Yes.
There you go, Jay. Now stop busting my balls, okay?
That's the question. That was the question.
I've been hogging Marty's time, so if any of you guys have questions for him, roll.
I do have a question because, and this is a little, this is bringing it back again. You were talking about about 1031. I think a lot of people, especially in Bitcoin, right? When there's a new Bitcoin business that gets created, a lot of us Bitcoiners are kind of weary about it because we go, hey, is this going to be, is this going to be a scam? Are these people scammers? How do you guys go about, because I think it is important that there are businesses that are rewarded for the things that they build, whether it's for Bitcoin directly, whether it's hard, like a CoinKite building those hardware wallets. I think these things are important. And I think there's going to be a lot more that's going to need to be built on Bitcoin. But how do you guys go about figuring out, okay, what do we think is a viable business that Bitcoiners and people will need versus like, okay, maybe this is just like a nice to have, but it's not really necessary. How do you guys go about that with 10 cent and even or 1031, or how do you go about it yourself? 10 cent, I'll call it 10 cent, but 1031 exchange for people in real estate.
Yeah. Now people really think we're a real estate fund. I had no idea about 1031 exchanges until I joined. But I'll speak for myself. I'm pretty confident that the rest of the guys on the team agree. But for the purposes of this show, I'll speak for myself. Like, I truly believe there's an order of operations to Bitcoin's success. And so, like, the front end of that order of operations deals with a couple things you mentioned, like the custody security.
Yes.
Mining, again, I mentioned mining earlier. Like, I think it's extremely important to ensure that the Bitcoin mining industry is robust and hash rate is geographically distributed, and then even in certain geographies, it's distributed in terms of scale. So that's the way we look at that. When it comes to mining, we look at operators. We tend to lean towards people that have been in the space and been around a couple cycles to understand the dynamics of the mining industry. And so with mining, particularly, we look for experience, custody. We're investing in CoinKite. We're backing them because before I even joined 1031, I've been a user of their products for years and really understand the the detail and care that goes into their products. And then moving up from there, like what are the first things that Bitcoiners are going to want? You need custody solutions, so that's why we backed Unchained, and I think Unchained's a great example of our due diligence process and why it is up to snuff. At least we like to think, and so you compare like Unchained to BlockFi, doing very similar things, particularly on the lending side. I think that's one thing that we grok at 1031 that many in the crypto world don't, is that we're transitioning into a world that will operate on the Bitcoin standard, and the products and services that will exist in that world are going to leverage Bitcoin's native properties to create these unique products and scenarios that you can leverage as a Bitcoiner. So comparing, we got a lot of flack missing the run up in BlockFi as they ran up to a $4 billion valuation. People wondering why we invested in Unchained and not BlockFi. And it's because we understood that BlockFi's lending model was extremely risky and reckless to a certain extent. They would take people's Bitcoin and lending it out to degenerate traders. And we understood that. And said, no, like the way, if you're going to invest in a company that's taking Bitcoin as collateral to give out US dollar loans, like the 2 and 3 multi-sig escrow with a low LTV and no unilateral control of the collateral is obviously the right model. So to answer your question directly, like what's gives us the ability to do due diligence is, I think, our experience. I've been around Bitcoin for 10 years, been playing with Bitcoin products for 10 years, and like to think that I have an intuitive grasp on what's actually going to work and how to build a Bitcoin company the right way, leveraging Bitcoin's native properties. I think that's what sets us apart from the crypto funds. There's a lot of other great Bitcoin-only funds that understand this as well. And they're becoming more popular. Just the whole Bitcoin-only theme is becoming more popular because I think others are beginning to recognize this. But yeah, I think understanding Bitcoin and how to operate that. So like going back to the BlockFi example, we know you can't print more Bitcoin. So if you're lending it out to the 3 hours capitals of the world and they're gambling on shitcoins with it, like if they lose it, you're not getting it back. And so for consumer facing lending products, like that model just doesn't work. Unchained is far superior.
My biggest thing, I think, with Bitcoin, like if you're talking, I mean, I think there's a lot of layers with Bitcoin, right? Obviously, you know, you have like the orange pill apps out there that are kind of like a social layer to Bitcoin. But in all reality, the biggest layer is Bitcoin itself. And layer one, do you see, or like do you have, like if you had a magic wand, what would be a way to self-custody Bitcoin? What would be a good way to do that a company could think of that would be so easy that a grandma could do it and not be worried, right? Like I think, have you ever, I'm sure you've thought about this, but like, have you talked with any people that are working on something like that, or have you thought about what that could look like?
Yeah, man, there's a couple companies that have come to market in the last year that are really working on this, and I think is pushing the ball forward with Liana and AnchorWatch, leveraging Miniscript to create like a decaying multi-sig setup. So you have some fallbacks if you lose keys or if somebody in your quorum dies or something like that, some worst scenario. So I think, yeah, just building guardrails alongside long-term stacks is going to be very important. So like Miniscript's a great step in that direction where you can create these conditions that decay the multi-sig over time if somebody dies or loses the key, which will inevitably allow you to keep access to that Bitcoin. It's not, these things aren't merged yet, but I think things like OpCTV and OpVault, building on covenants and that vaulting idea that Miniscript is sort of bringing to market right now, I think that'll make those more robust. And so, yeah, when it comes to like custody of the base layer, I do think, excuse me, these conditional scripting mechanisms or these covenant mechanisms that haven't been merged yet, but maybe in the future will be massive for that to just eliminate single points of failure and add like a time aspect to your stack where it makes it much harder to lose your Bitcoin for your grandmother to lose her Bitcoin.
Yeah, because it's just. I think the biggest thing is you want to make your custody so good that no one can break in, but not so good where you can't get it. Right? That's like that magic area that most people are looking for.
Yeah.
And you do your custody strong?
Mine. Oh, Marcus came on. He's about to defend himself on BRICS.
Uh-oh.
Nice.
Marcus woke up.
Bricks all day long.
Good morning. Am I late? Am I late?
By the way, my
You book
look.
yourself.
By the way, my look has nothing to do with Odell.
Is that an old Pierre Rochard picture, Yellow?
There aren't any chairs.
I'm sure. Remember, he used to have that cowboy hat in his old profile pic.
Marty,
Marcus,
sir, nice to meet you. I thought I'd jump in quick. I woke up way too late. You know, I'm in Bali, so it's like in the early morning here. But I'm happy I still had to jump in for like 2 minutes and hear the magic wand question from Sean.
Marcus, Greg was talking a lot of trash, man.
No, I was just doing a very good job representing his opinion on BRICS.
No, he said Marcus doesn't know what he's talking about. He's pro BRICS.
I never said he didn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, no, he said a lot of things.
I'm probably the most pro BRICS of this group here for sure. Yeah, we try to balance it out, because Greg is like Mr. America over there. So
Do you have to say that because now you're in Bali, you're in Asia?
No, I don't think Indonesia is part of BRICS. No.
I think
okay.
They might have applied. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Marcus is just salty. He's anti-American. He wishes he was American. He's not.
I'm jealous. He's
Marty, have there been any other rabbit holes that you've gone down lately?
Rabbit holes.
Great question.
The Maui fires of the top of my streak. No, it just stinks. I don't know what happened. I don't know if I don't think it was like heat lasers or anything like that.
Okay, so
wasn't it a power line? I saw a video that it was a power line that hit the grass and it was a super windy day. There's a footage of literally like this timeline where the fire started and how they spread downhill towards the.
The question is, are there laser beams?
There's definitely laser beams. I don't think they had anything to do with the Maui fires. I agree with Mark. There's evidence. It was the power line. So, the whole response to it was really weird. They didn't set off the tsunami alarm. There's
the hurricane sirens.
And now the government wants to buy all the land that was burned up.
Yeah, it's very suspicious.
Yeah, but
there's a book on Amazon about it already.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's crazy.
You know why the government is if you go on Facebook and you look, right, try going there and looking for land, right, because it's an opportunity, right, all that real estate is super, so you're not the only genius at things okay, I'm going to go there, I'm going to buy up some cheap land from some poor villagers, right, and then in 2 or 3 years it's all going to be blooming again, I'm going to make a killing, buy it when there's blood in the streets. But there's actually real investors on the ground offering people cash money for their land that the government was so disgusted by it that they offered, we're gonna buy up the land because we don't want foreigners coming in. Because Lahaina is really they feel like they're a colony of the United States, right? The locals still feel like they're anyway, let's not get into that. So it's not like the West is it's not like Bill Gates buying up all the land or anything. I don't feel it's part of that narrative. That's where you're going, Sean.
Marcus, the word on the street is the same person that started the fires in Hawaii was the same person that delivered poop to Peter McCormick. So
with a laser. I heard that too. Don't start that.
Yeah, I heard that too.
I had nothing to do with that, and stop looking at me, okay?
That might be
yellow.
yellow.
Yellow fibers found all over, right?
That polyester is quite burnable.
She was everywhere.
There was a
Flammable.
package that was sent to me recently that I haven't picked up. It came from Greece, and it's 16 pounds. Is it just full of poop, Yellow? Because I don't want to go pick it up.
It's a big dump.
It's a surprise.
Quick question for Marty though, if I can throw in a question because I missed out like the whole hour. Like Marty, who is it that you're still trying to interview and haven't been able to get on your show yet? And what's the thing you want to talk to them about?
I've been going after Taibbi and Glenn Greenwald for a bit now. This may sound like a boring answer, but for me personally, Taibbi in the aftermath of 08 was like formative in my understanding of like the corruption that went on with the bailouts and all that. And then Glenn Greenwald with WikiLeaks and Snowden, equally as formative in helping me understand how corrupt the world is. And I really respect those guys. And I've been trying to get them on. That's the shoot from the hip answer. Kanye's up there. I'd like to talk to Kanye as well. Would like to get Dave Portnoy on at some point.
Yeah, that should be a fun show.
Yeah.
Actually, we have a question from the chat that says, "What you would advise David to save Barstools?
To save Barstool?
Yeah.
To save the company? Yeah.
What would you advise Portnoy about saving Barstool?
I think they're gonna be okay. Maybe start stacking some Bitcoin on the treasury, Dave. Maybe doing some Lightning Network paywalls. I think they just gotta. I mean, Dave came out earlier this week, and I think he made a really good point. Like the comp structure of their sales team. Like I do think there's still a lot of money in podcast ads and ads for media companies. It's just really focusing on that. I think they're really fine. Barstool's an idea that doesn't need saving.
Well, since you have a large portion of the factor that doesn't exist here present with you, do you have any questions for anybody here?
Do you think you could beat me one-on-one in basketball show?
Whoa.
Sir,
We have a
did you see
basketball
his
background.
toenails?
Everything is possible.
Did you see his toenails?
I missed toenails. I was going to get my phone for the ad read.
Yeah, no. I think it would be a close game. I think I would probably win 11-1. You know, so.
No, we met in
He gets
person.
one free throw. What kind of scoring is this?
We played 11.
Yeah,
I'm like 5'10". How tall are you? Are you like 6'5"?
6'7". Yeah. Met Marty where I was walking down the street in Miami with my dad, and Marty was just walking down, and I was like, dude, you got to come on the podcast, man. That was cool.
I guess I'll just throw it out to the panel here. I guess we'll call it a panel. What are you guys most excited about in Bitcoin? Or
Ask Pedro.
excited about or annoyed about? Either or.
I want to hear from Pedro.
Yeah, I'm most excited about the development of all the tools in recent years. I mean, it wasn't that long ago when there wasn't much that existed in terms of like being able to, just all the node stacks that have come out, all of the different tools that are being developed. I think, it's great. It's much different than it was in 2017, 2018.
Crickets.
Like what?
Dude, I'm just most excited about like what's gonna happen in the next couple of years. As the price just keeps grinding up. Watching Najib Bukele just laugh at everybody. Watching Michael Saylor laugh at everybody. Like we're in this phase now where like people are still pointing to El Salvador, like, oh, the bonds have failed and stuff, but they're just gonna like. How Michael Saylor's constantly posting like his win chart, like Bitcoin up 100%, MicroStrategy up 150% or whatever since the day they bought. Those numbers are just going to get so stupid, And even though like the next, it's going to go up, it's going to go down again, but those things are just going to stretch out and stretch and watch the mainstream media just like try to twist that narrative into something they can try to twist it. It's going to be funny to watch.
I'm
That'd be my
really personally, I'm really excited about the Bitcoin ETF. Like really excited. And more than that, I'm really excited about all the content around Bitcoin ETFs.
Calm down, sir.
You know what I'm actually excited about is point of sale stuff, because I was actually with a ton of Zoomers this summer, a lot of young people, and which feels weird. I sound old when I say that. I just turned 34, but like everyone that I talked about Bitcoin, they're just like, hey, but you can't spend it anywhere. I'm like, dude, just relax. Like, it's savings right now. Like, there is that stuff around, but just people aren't, don't really know how to accept it yet. So I just think as more people understand what Bitcoin is, and as more people start accepting Bitcoin, that's what I'm really excited about, is just to watch that. Because there's a grassroots movement, as people just start accepting it, then people just, hey, I'm just going to send you dollars and you can accept it as Bitcoin over Lightning, or I can send you Bitcoin that I've mined over Tor, whatever it is. I'm really excited for a more of a circular economy in certain pockets, and watching that grow as that circular economy comes about, because I think that's when there's two things that are going to make people really understand Bitcoin. One, I think, is hyperinflation, and two is that you can start spending it places, and I think that will make a lot of sense to people too.
Yeah, it's cool to see the Zappright announcement today with Parker and Will joining their team. And that blog post really leaning into that. Like, hey, I think Parker. I know Parker. Who's really been focused on this recently, because he's like, hyperinflation is coming, it's probably already here. Like, what are you doing to prepare to actually accept Bitcoin as payment? Whether you're a gas station, a barbecue joint, like somebody's selling books on the internet, like, prepare.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited about all the new Bitcoin podcasts that are going to come out.
The more the merrier. You need as many as possible.
I heard there's one with Creases that's just got released recently.
Yeah, the last trade. We Croesus and Mike and Tanguma. Been running with that for
how many podcasts are there now?
There needs to be more
in the world.
21 million.
No, honestly,
Artie's trying to tell us it's time for his question.
There needs to be as many as possible. Like, I remember I actually just wrote, get some breaking news here. I just read the foreword to Parker's Graduated Suddenly book.
Ooh.
And that was like part of the foreword, was reminiscing like when I got into Bitcoin in 2013, like 2012, 2013, and trying to learn about it. And it was just like, there was a few YouTube channels. There was Reddit, Twitter, BitcoinTalk.org, and like 2 or 3 podcasts. And it was, luckily, Nakamoto Institute existed too. So that was my saving grace. But I think the more content, the better. The more podcasts, the better. People connect with content in different ways.
I'm just salty that I can't listen to them all anymore. There's too many now.
To be honest, I haven't listened to any anymore. I've sort of picked it all up, and I listen like the stupid investment podcast now. Just get my mind off Bitcoin when I'm not actually working in it.
Which one?
I've been liking Invest Like the Best lately. I think Patrick O'Shaughnessy is a good interviewer.
Right.
Dave Ramsey. You been listening to a lot of Dave Ramsey lately?
Oh my God! Shut up.
we still have to hear from Becca. What is Becca most excited about?
I'm excited about more women in Bitcoin, so it'll be great.
RD.
Do you want the RD question?
No. We were just saying that you're another woman in Bitcoin.
Oh.
I walked into that.
It is time for your question.
Brought it into it gracefully, like a woman.
How'd you dust off my question?
Okay, before we go to RD, I have another question. Marty, you get your own day where the Meme Factory crew has to do whatever you want.
What?
and they can't complain.
No.
What would you have us do?
Oh,
They ever put me on the spot. You could write the band and record my podcast for me.
Deal.
Okay.
Done.
Need a day off.
Did you see the ad read?
Need a day off.
be careful! Be careful. You
Can I
might
write the band?
Meme factory takeover.
Scooch over, Odell. I got a mustache too.
Good question.
Okay, RD, it's time, I think.
Okay, Marty. If the meme factory did exist, and we all know it doesn't, who would you like? Who would you retweet? And who would you mute?
Who would I? What was the last one? View?
Mute.
Mute. I'm gonna like Greg because he's another Philly guy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna retweet Yellow.
Go Birds.
And I'm gonna mute Plan Marcus because he's a brick show. Like you can't have birds.
Yes.
All right, let's go. Finally got him here.
Oh,
Yeah, Marcus. That's a rare mute for Marcus.
But RD also hasn't been around well, so he doesn't know there's a zap added to his question.
Yes.
Who are you zapping?
I'm gonna zap
I'm
Rope.
extremely poor.
Rope's just been silent in the corner. You know, I think he needs a zap to wake up. And
Yes. I'm so poor. You have no idea.
Where did that come from, Rope?
The bottom of
I mean that. Did you make that profile? Is that Mac Miller and David mixed in?
I like this guy, Marty. I like you. You nailed that on the head. You're good. You're good.
Did you make that?
No, I did not.
Can't you see from the cropping? It's way beyond.
I found that.
You
I'm a
didn't.
big Mac Miller fan.
You didn't make that.
There's no watermark.
I did not.
Did-
Did not
Stop
make it.
stealing memes.
You
bro.
stole that meme, Rope.
That's not a meme. That's a profile picture.
Muted.
Ooh. Hot take.
All right, Marty. You've been super generous with your time, man.
No, song question.
One more thing.
I'm sorry.
question.
Just shut up. Shut up.
Don't forget the thing.
Your audio's been messed up the whole day anyway, Greg.
Your audio
more-
been messed up whole day.
Oh, no, it hasn't because my audio is right. You know how to do it right. Marty, do you know what's happening in block height 840,000?
I believe that there will be a subsidy happening.
Yeah. Oh.
There's gonna be a party.
Yes.
There's gonna be a party.
Yes. From 6.125 or 6.15 to 3.125. Something like that. Who knows? And yes, there will be a halving party in El Salvador. You already know about it. And you're invited because it's going to be a lot of Bitcoiners down there. You know, the last time, what did you do during the last halving? Were you watching Pomp on YouTube like I was, cracking open a beer? Then it did itself?
I was actually on this back porch where I am now.
Okay.
Literally, I was sitting exactly where I'm sitting now during the last halving, as it happened. Middle of Canada.
Honestly, that actually sounds kind of cool, but not as cool as being to El Salvador, which you haven't been there, have you? Right? You haven't been to El Salvador yet.
I have not, and I do like surfing, but I do think it's not the big wave season during the halving next year. But
Yeah, it may not be. Maybe a big slow will come for the halving if we can get Yellow to predict another prophecy.
Stoshi slow.
Yes, exactly. But come on down. It's gonna be all you can eat, all you can drink. You know, you're not gonna have to worry about being in LA or Miami buying $50 a meal, all that other BS. So come on down, it's gonna be awesome, dude.
If I can make it, I will be there.
Yeah.
I'd like to drag my wife and kids with me too.
Oh,
Bring
you gonna
'em.
bring Matt?
Matt is my wife. We have a couple kids.
Tell
A couple of minors.
find you, where
Greg's
you
bringing
can-
Greg, you're bringing the wife and kids, right?
Oh yeah, Chair Force will be there. All right, man. Tell everybody in the audience where they can find you, where they can find your content, if you care about that sort of thing.
Before I do that, I want to thank you all for having me. It's
Oh
been a
my
blast.
God, no!
Big fan. I don't know what you guys are doing. and yellow's USB miners that are showing up on the screen. But you can find me at Marty Bennett on Twitter. I don't know my NPub by heart yet, but my handles is Marty Bennett there. If you want to find me on Nostr, the tftc.io. Want to see any of the content, and 1031.vc if you want to see the Bitcoin companies that we're invested in.
I'm sure you can find most of that in the show notes currently. All right. Well, thanks for coming on tonight, Marty. Thanks everybody in the audience for coming to show up. Rest of the Meme Factory. Fuck you guys.
Fuck you, Greg.
Thanks, Marty.
Good night.
Thanks for your time, Marty.
Thanks, Marty.
Yeah,
Thank
good
you.
meeting man.
I know you guys hang out, but I gotta go outside for dinner. Appreciate you.
Enjoy your night.
See you guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
buddy. Bye.